in this Midwest region. He doesn't really travel all the way across the country very often in order to play in multiple events, but hits up most of the Midwest area regional championships, and we can see the two key cards there, Blissey V and Miltank. That Miltank being such a big boost to this deck from the newest Astral Radiance expansion.
And Braden, too, has worked hard to get to this spot as well, having some solid accomplishments, a little bit more of a younger player in retrospect, but it's awesome to see the newer, younger generation of players here really perform and outpace themselves and really show that, hey, I'm not as old as the other guys. I haven't been playing for 5, 10 years, maybe as much, but at this point, you've got the accomplishments here. You've been top 4 in a regional championship, and still showing some success this year as well. And you know what's about to go in that accomplishment? Finalist or champion of the regionals here in Wisconsin.
And we see the two key cards of the deck there, Arceus V-Star with its excellent Trinity Nova attack, as well as the Starbirth V-Star power, without a doubt the most influential card of the previous Brilliant Stars format, now showing that, hey, even with Astral Radiance added, it is pretty good. Of course, Duraludon VMAX being the partner for Arceus in this matchup for this deck, for this tournament. Braden has piloted it to excellency so far. I'm super excited, Ethan, to see what's going to happen here in our finals match. What's your prediction? Who's going to come out on top? If you had to pick a player, are we going with Duraludon VMAX or is it Blissey V's time?
I'm a man who likes to believe on what the paper says, and the paper's telling me that Duraludon takes this. It's just too much damage out. You have an answer to Miltank. There's just, you can heal, but at the same time, they're doing healing over on their side as well. I got to give it to Braden here to close things out. What about you, Chip?
Listen, I got to believe in the bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Just ignore that skyscraper ability thanks to the path to the peaks. Let's see if Connor can get there. The prizes being set out here, nothing too huge for Connor. A couple double turbos isn't great. Braden, on the other hand, prizing a decent amount of healing cards, 1 Crystal Cave, as well as 2 copies of Hyper Potion.
Yeah, I'm needing those healing cards for later on. It's great to keep yourself up and healthy as we're getting ready to get into this game. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the finals of the Pokemon TCG Masters Division, the last regional championships of the year. I'm so excited. I think we're ready to kick things off. And here we go, hopping into things. Game number 1 between Braden and Connor. And look at that, both V Pokemon to start things out. And it looks like Connor will be kicking things off.
Great start as well with the quick ball, and Connor recognizes, hey, Miltank is a great card, but not in this matchup. I'm just going to quick ball it away, try to find myself maybe Greninja to start drawing more cards with the Concealed Cards ability. And this is really smart from Connor, recognizing that Braden has the answer. The Duraludon VMAX's attack hits through all effects, so Miltank will not be a great option. Connor just goes ahead and discards it. And speaking of discarding, we're seeing a double turbo hit the discard to draw a couple more cards with Concealed Cards.
Concealed Cards has found its way into so many decks here, and for good reason. Action over on Braden.
Ooh, this is a little awkward. Okay, we've got a Pokegear. I think that Braden's going to be relying pretty heavily on this, though, in order to do much this turn.
Yeah, eyeing up, discarding a double turbo energy. You're going to want those cards later on in the game, but you don't really have much of an option. Have to bank off this Pokegear, finding the cards you need. Can at minimum get an Arceus down, and since this Blissey deck has to power up a little bit to ramp up to have the amount of energies to start one-hit KOing these big Pokemon V-Star and Pokemon VMAX, we could see some time bought for Braden to utilize the Trinity Charge attack, flood the board with energy, and set up a Duraludon that's going to be pretty hard to take care of.
So Braden's going to just take a moment here, check the prize cards, try to see exactly what is available, what isn't. Almost forgot to take the Arceus V, but yes, we are playing quick ball. Let's grab that Arceus V. There is another double turbo energy in the hand, so even though Braden discarded one, he'll have another one to attach here. And if he can find a supporter off the Pokegear and then maybe get into switch, we could even see a Trinity Charge here on the very first turn of the game, loading up a Duraludon V.
It's the dream of every Duraludon player, that turn 1 Trinity Charge, but at minimum, we'll be able to, at minimum, get the energy down onto the Arceus. And here's a big 7 cards off of Pokegear. Do we see any playable draw supporters? Boss?
No. Mustard. I don't think that Braden can thin this hand out. His hand is Boss, an energy card, which he can't play since he's already attached, and then a Stadium card. So he can set it up to Mustard on the next turn if he plays the Boss's orders this turn. And that's really tough. That's what he's going to have to go for. Super lackluster start.
Yeah, not what you want to see. Not getting down your multiple Pokemon, setting up for the V-Star the following turn. And the scary thing as well, having 4 Path to the Peak is a very big disruption when it comes to getting things going. And we do see the boss's orders up on the Greninja and the pass over to Connor. What is the hand looking like? I see Lucky Energy, some research as well. Has the scoop up net to move this Radiant Greninja.
Very nice.
And also finds the Cape of Toughness for this Blissey. Avery as well, just to draw a few more cards. And look at that, even more energies to work with. 2 powerful
Even
energy.
more, yeah, that is excellent. Great to see from Connor. And now that Scoop Up Net has been played, this Radiant Greninja can actually be benched and used once again. Connor will get the full 3 cards to accelerate off of Blissful Blast this turn.
We will see the powerful energy come down for turn. Cape of Toughness as well. That means that Blissful Blast is now doing 40 damage plus the next energy, so 70 damage, and the 2 powerful energy. That's 110 damage right there, and also going to accelerate 3 more. But of course, the ability on Duraludon, that hard coat ability, making it so that it's only dealing 80 damage. And here we go. Finds the switch. A great top deck there. That means this Arceus can come into the active.
And we can see the single mustard. Yes, this gets out that VMAX, puts it directly onto the bench, doesn't have to worry about evolving, and it's going to draw Braden 5 more cards. Needs a little bit of help here still. Would love to find an Arceus V-Star.
5 cards to work with. Plenty of searching options in the deck. Still has access to heal off with Crystal Cave as well. That's going to start to put in some work. See what the 5 cards are. Single Strike Mustard is a great card. You can play these weird evolution lines. Let's see.
Is there an Arceus? No, not yet. And the Ultra Ball is the 5th and final card.
Yeah, not the best cards to discard at this point and not much of a follow-up. But hey, Arceus V-Star can find you that follow-up with the Starburst.
Exactly.
So I think that the decision at this point is, do I value having the other switch in my hand? I believe you do, because the more time you give this deck to attack, the more energies they can get ramped up. So we could very likely maybe see the Big Charm go down. What do you think the best second card here is with this card?
I think Big Charm is super important. You want to make sure that your Pokemon are going to be pretty much impossible for Blissey to one-hit KO. If you just let this thing get bigger and bigger and bigger, you really need Big Charm to try to save you against a few extra energies. It's a tough call, but I do agree with Braden. I think the switch is the right discard.
Switch getting put to the discard pile. I'm sure we'll see the Arceus V-Star get grabbed, and Starbirth can maybe grab some other pieces as well. I feel like you want to utilize Starbirth here, because if your opponent plays Path to the Peak next turn, that option is no longer going to be available. So there's the Arceus, and we are going to see
Crystal
healing
Cave
come
used,
down from Crystal Cave. Duraludon will slowly, over time, get healed. I think just the decision over on Braden's end is, do I want to utilize the Starbirth ability right now, or do I think that, my opponent doesn't have Path. Surely they don't have it this turn.
Braden thinks better of it, though, and decides to use Starbirth. I do agree with this. It is certainly the safest thing to do. Connor does play the full 4 copies of Path to the Peak, so it's pretty likely that would have come down on the next turn.
It looks like eyeing up Marnie off of this Starbirth. V-Star Power also has the ability to maybe grab a way to get a second Duraludon VMAX into play, or maybe a way to bump Path to the Peak. That could be fairly solid. This list is pretty interesting when it comes to stadium counts. Is just playing, it looks like a few copies. Oh no, actually maximum copies of Crystal Cave. 4 Crystal Cave. So technically, since Braden put the first stadium into play, if every stadium is available and played back and forth, it will actually be Path to the Peak sticking in play, which could be a very big deal for Connor.
So Braden does decide to grab a stadium as one of the options from the Starbirth. Prep that for the potential of a Path to the Peak. Wants to be able to respond to the Path coming into play right away as quickly as possible. I actually wonder if Connor even cares about playing Path this turn. Since you're hitting into an Arceus V-Star as opposed to hitting into the Duraludon, you maybe want to save putting Path to the Peak in play until a turn that you're needing to turn off Skyscraper.
Concealed cards to kick things off. You also don't shut off concealed card, which is a great ability here so far. Draws into Quick Ball and Capture Energy in the hand. Seeing the other options. Not sure if there's any way to heal this Blissey, but that has to be what's on Connor's mind at this point.
Yeah, if I'm Connor, I'm definitely looking for a barrage of Hyper Potions, maybe even that Team Yell Towel. This is the perfect time to play Team Yell Towel, since your opponent's active Pokemon doesn't have any damage on it that you would just be healing off for them.
Utilizing the Hyper Potion, we'll play the Capture Energy down as well. This can grab another Blissey out of the deck. There's a few options on what this can go and grab, and it looks like Blissey V will be the selection. all of these special colorless energy finding their way into this deck. Lucky Energy is a deck that practically no deck has ever played since that card's released. But with Blissey's, the fact that you can just bring it back and it still provides one colorless energy like every other energy in the deck means there's good reason to play this, and you're going to have that built-in natural consistency like you would if you had a Lucky Egg on you, for example. And there's actually the boss's orders. Have to do the math here. With 5 energy attached, that's 160 damage, plus 60 more for the powerful energy, that's 220, and the math is pretty much there, 190 after the ability of Hardcoat, and there it is. That's going to be enough to knock out this Duraludon V. Connor, the first one to take prizes here in this. Also accelerating 2 more energy. Look how many energy on this Blissey V.
It's getting big really quick. 2 double turbo energies still hiding in the prizes. I know Connor would love to get access to those because they boost his damage and also are easy choices to discard off of the Hyper Potion. So while Connor has taken the first KO, Braden just has the Arceus V-Star with 280 hit points, plus 30 more with the Big Charm, and then also Duraludon VMAX in the active with 330 hit points. It is going to be hard for Connor to get through both of these Pokemon.
Yeah, and this is a big-time Marnie because there are 2 Hyper Potion in that hand for Connor. Those are both going straight to the bottom of the deck. As we see, nothing Braden really needs at this point. This is how this deck works. It gets set up, it starts swinging, it heals occasionally, and that's kind of all you need. We do see the attack here, G-Max Pulverization. What a cool attack name.
Absolutely, 220 damage. Look at how many dice we're having to put on the Blissey here. Connor gets to draw a couple of cards from the Lucky Energy and still gets 1 more to draw for turn. I think I see a Team Yell Towel there. That can heal a little bit. Is there ever a world where we can get enough energy on the Blissey here to get to a 1-hit knockout?
So there's 8 energy on it currently, and it's doing 40 more damage than normal. So that's 290 damage right now. With the attachment for turn of a powerful energy, that would get there.
Wow, that is pretty wild to see. Let's see if Connor has the powerful colorless energy. There's only 1 remaining in the deck because 3 of them have already been attached.
That's the question at this point. Path to the Peak will come down into play. A Team Yell Towel will bring this down. Definitely not out of range from a G-Max Pulverization, but I think that's just the question at this point. Do I play the research? And it will hit the discard pile, getting rid of a few pieces. Tornado's unfortunately going.
There it is. The powerful colorless energy is the grab right away. First card from the research.
As long as the math is there, I believe it's there. There's currently technically 8 energy on this, and that would be 250. Minus 20 puts that
There
230.
is so much math having to happen right now. We've got damage boosting for each energy. We've got damage reduction from the double turbo, and then more damage for the powerful colorless energy.
I believe it's no, maybe actually. No, I think it's there. Yeah, the math should be there for the powerful. There's your reductions and additions, and and there's the powerful energy.
This will be attached, and that is enough for the KO. Braden has to double check it too. Can't even believe it, but sure enough, that is enough damage in order to pick up this knockout.
Wow, what a big time swing from the Blissey with the biggest Blissful Blast I believe we've seen all weekend. And look at that, even more energies on this Blissey. There's so many energies on this.
This Blissey is getting huge. Connor goes to just 1 prize remaining, and even though this Blissey will likely be KO'd this turn, Connor doesn't even mind it because he is at such a huge advantage as far as the prize race is concerned.
And you see this is Blissey's getting knocked out, and all of these energies are about to move to the prize cards. Braden will go to 4 prize cards, but all Connor needs is 1 more knockout to just build up 1 final Blissey, and there haven't even been that many healing cards used. This can just be a slow, gradual process to take this knockout.
Connor just probably needs to 2-hit KO this Arceus V-Star. That'll likely be his easiest path to the victory. Or if Braden whiffs on getting the Duraludon VMAX next turn, that could be something to consider. A couple double turbo energies in the hand now. Of course, Path to the Peak in play means that Greninja cannot be used.
Yeah, I think the debate here over on Connor's side is what do you want to get rid of? Opting to get rid of one of these double turbo energies, and we'll get 2 cards. Not a very good supporter for the turn, but listen, draws into an Avery, so that can be some more cards the following turn, and more importantly, has the attachment to this Blissey. So this will be dealing 50 damage with the double turbo energy, doing 7 normally, reduction, and it will be really interesting to see what energies Connor puts on. Are there any specific energies you think that would be really good in this situation?
So Connor has to decide, do I want to go for the damage next turn and get a bunch of powerful colorless energies, Or do I want to go for the potential healing next turn, in which case you would want double turbo energies, since those are the easy discards off of the hyper potion. Sometimes a combination of the two is correct as well. And then of course you can't forget lucky energy as one of your main draw options. I think Connor, recognizing that next turn he's going to need to heal a decent amount and try to build to a big one-hit KO maybe on the next turn. So you might want to see 2 hyper potions come into play next turn. So as long as there are 2 double turbo energies, that'll work out very nicely.
That would be nice indeed. Looks like we've got a little friend joining us on the table here, but he wants to join in the action too.
He's trying to help out the Arceus V-Star, it seems.
Listen, I don't think he's capable of stopping such a high being over here.
Yeah, he is far below Arceus V-Star.
Over to the game, though, we do have the Duraludon VMAX coming down into play. So this is another Pokemon that can sort of sit in the active here and take a lot more damage, as the Arceus V-Star is dealing 180 damage to this Blissey. So, like you said, 2 Hyper Potion are going to be the number to look out for the following turn.
Yeah, or some combination of Hyper Potion and like Switch Card or Team Yell Towel. There are just so many ways for Connor to find a way to heal this Blissey. I wonder if Braden here would ever go for the retreat into the Duraludon, since it's powered up and has way more hit points. We actually see this Quick Ball grabs an interesting tech in the list. The Eldegoss V, really cool card. Its Happy Match ability allows you to grab a supporter card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. What's Braden going to eye up here? It looks like Marnie to disrupt the massive hand that Connor was sitting on.
Yeah, this is a very smart play. You understand at this point that disrupting the hand, this is a crucial turn in the game. If you're able to get rid of this Blissey, that could spell big trouble over on Connor's side. So these are going to be a big 4 cards for Connor. Braden's going to draw these 5 up. But at this point, you've done what you really want to do at this position.
Ooh, Connor does get a boss's orders. I don't think he's quite able to knock out this Eldegoss just yet, thanks to the damage reduction of double turbo energy. But if he can find another energy card, maybe he might be able to go for a boss's orders KO.
So currently it is doing 150 damage. So would need to find
just another energy.
Yeah, no energy in his hand quite yet. Does have Quick Ball, no support Pokemon. Another Cape of Toughness. So these cards are not looking too good right off the bat for Connor, but you know, anything can change with the top deck, top card. We will see the retreat into this Duraludon VMAX, another G-Max pulverization. And you actually forgot the lucky energy. You're going to draw 2 cards here.
That's true.
So if there's any energy at the top of these 2 cards, the math is there to knock out this Eldegoss.
No energy yet. Does he find one here?
He does.
It's an energy card. Connor can attach the capture energy. Boss's orders brings up Eldegoss, and Connor LAVELLE takes game number 1, taking out the Eldegoss that Braden had to bench last turn in order to use Marnie.
Wow, what a big-time play there, Connor, finding the exact card at the top. Hey, look at that.
Lucky energy really brought Connor the luck there. Got him a couple of cards deeper into the deck so that the top deck could be the energy card needed to close that knockout out.
That was such a tight game, and you see Braden getting pretty punished for playing down that Eldegoss. It's a low HP Pokemon, and sure, you disrupt your opponent's hand, but if it causes you to lose the game, you got to really be considering. Speaking of considering, what do you do here if you're Braden going into this next game? Maybe you're feeling a little bit confident to start. Does that change a little bit as you're down 1-0?
Yeah, I think you just got to kind of put that out of your mind a little bit. You know, maybe think about the way things went, but at the same time, just try to charge ahead. This is a whole new game. It'll be a whole new opening hand, a whole new set of prize cards. Everything will be different. So you got to try to navigate whatever hand you're dealt and just pretend that first game didn't happen, work on this next one, and try to force a game 3.
I'm sure Braden will be starting things off, going first, looking at the hand. It's looking a little bit better than last time. The main thing, starting that Arceus V is exactly what you want for that turn 2 Trinity Nova. As things are getting kicked off, we'll see the prize cards for both of these players. Eldegoss being the prizes. There's 1 Arceus V, and nothing too relevant, just a few supporter cards over on Connor's side. No energy, luckily, this time.
Yeah, a bunch of supporters, which is a little awkward, but it's not multiple copies of one supporter. They're all individual, so not too big of a deal at all for either player. The Hyper Potion is actually a pretty nice prize card for Connor to take. It looked like it was at the bottom there.
Having the Arceus in the active with this energy attachment, and the Quick Ball as well can find another Arceus or even a second Duraludon V. Things are looking very good to start things off here for Braden in game 2.
And this is the ideal setup from a Arceus Duraludon deck. You really want to play the game with 1 Arceus V-Star and 2 Duraludon VMAX. You're effectively forcing your opponent to take 3 multi-prize KOs. You're forcing them to take an 8-prize game.
That's the thing here. You got to make them take more than they need to win it out. Just taking a first deck search through, and it looks like, oh, yeah, make sure you maybe grab something off of that. You want to make sure you're getting the full value. Even if you're not going to bench it, you might as well have it in your hand so that you don't have to either draw into it later, you can put it onto the bottom of your deck, and it will actually be the second copy of Duraludon V been put into play. And this will mean that 2 Duraludon VMAX can potentially come out the following turn. You want to get these guys up and quickly. Otherwise, they're just 2 prizes that can be knocked out over the course of the game.
Already a great start for Braden, just needing to find like a double turbo energy and an Arceus next turn, or even just the Arceus, of course, since you can use Starbirth to get the other 2 pieces. Connor started probably one of the worst starters in this matchup. Yveltal is not going to be super useful with its Cry of Destruction. I guess it could come up to get rid of some double turbos over on Braden's side, but not the ideal starter at all.
And drawing into switch card and the capture energy, we're going to see this actually be committed to the Yveltal, so there's no way for this Blissey to attack this turn. Energy has already been put into play, but at minimum, you can get it down. And the real question, though, is this can maybe open the door up to Braden to just get a quick hit off into this Blissey. Starbirth can easily find the pieces necessary to take a boss's orders KO.
Yeah, another thing that starting this Yveltal does for Braden is that now he only has to take 2 Blissey KOs in order to win. Something Connor, I'm sure, loves to do is force his opponent to KO 2 Blisseys and then maybe a Greninja, and then you have to get through the 3rd Blissey.
Wow, big stop deck there and switch. That is going to open up a lot of opportunities. May have had to play the Bird Keeper instead. In fact, going to see 7 cards. There's the Arceus V-Star and the Stadium card, and that means we'll be seeing Starbirth come out. Already has a double turbo energy in hand. Crystal Cave to get rid of this Path to the Peak. And we could just be seeing Starbirth. The hand's already looking so solid besides that you may not even need to utilize the ability this turn.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to feel super pressured to, since you've got to research to at least see more cards on the next turn. Maybe something to think about here, and why Braden chose not to play Ultra Ball just yet, is the fact that Connor could just attach another energy and go for Cry of Destruction and put this Arceus, well, I guess the Yveltal will just be KO'd here, so not super likely that that would happen. Can't see a boss's orders, and there's no escape ropes or anything in this list. So Connor's going to be likely trying to attack with the Blissey next turn. Let's see what Braden wants to set up here off of Starbirth.
Maybe some options to evolve these Duraludon Vs. You already have the supporter card for turn, and even preparing for another boss's orders stall play potentially by grabbing that switch. It's also just a good way to pivot into this Duraludon the following turn.
Yes.
To start hitting a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think that's what Braden's trying to do. Has the Ultra Ball in hand, so now switch into Duraludon VMAX could be a very viable play next turn. And what you do by playing switch as opposed to having to discard and retreat is you leave the double turbo energy on Arceus V-Star so that it can be hyper potioned later on potentially.
There is the Trinity Nova taking the knockout on to this Yveltal. And here we go. Nice top deck there and powerful energy. That can be put onto the Blissey or just discarded. And it looks like we will be seeing... yep, there we go. Concealed cards is going to go ahead and get rid of the powerful energy. Yeah. I think just wanting to wait until Braden ends the turn as prizes need to be taken. The deck is shuffled up, so Braden will go down to 5 prize cards. As these 2 cards do warrant a capture energy, so that capture energy can grab another Blissey out of the deck. And there are now a few energies to bring back now that concealed cards has been used. So there it comes down. This will most likely grab another Blissey. We'll start to see some Blissful Blast, but it feels like Braden is just off to that much more faster of a start, and Connor has not put on as much aggression so far this game. Yeah, it's definitely a bit slower of a start for Connor, but still not out of it. It is really hard to get through these Blisseys. They have so much HP, and that's not even considering a potential Cape of Toughness that you could throw down onto it as well to boost that HP even more. That's what it might come down to at this position. We are going to see... It looks like the Blissey having the capture energy onto it, and yeah, no, just the Blissful Blast is going to put the 3 energy from the discard pile onto this Blissey. 40 damage, and action's now on Braden, but this is a great opening to potentially put on a lot of pressure with Duraludon VMAX. Yeah, this is really interesting from Connor. Had a research in hand in order to discard and draw a bunch of cards, but he's also holding on to a Hyper Potion. So his decision here is, hey, I need to prep my Blissey to be healed a bunch on the next turn, so let me hold this hand. I can Hyper Potion away 2 of these energies I just attached, and then I can research to draw a new hand afterwards. And the Ultra Ball over on Braden's side will grab the second Duraludon VMAX, and this will allow, over time, the Duraludon to get powered up. We already see the double turbo energy coming down onto this Duraludon V. VMAX rather in the active. While this is good, it does prepare for a Hyper Potion. You are going to now be dealing 20 less damage every turn, and that could become an issue when your opponent's trying to heal damage off.
Yeah, every damage counter counts at this point, but Braden just wants to prep that energy there, especially since he's going to play Research this turn. I think it makes sense. We see 7 new cards. Boss's Orders to work with maybe on the next turn. Has Crystal Cave to get some healing if Connor is to bump the Crystal Cave that is in play right now. And G-Max Pulverization launches a 200 damage attack.
200 damage. We will see 1 extra card off of the Lucky Energy and the draw to start things off. Look at that, 2 Lucky Energy off the draw. Look at Lucky Energy track to their Lucky Energy, right? They're all coming today, but there's the concealed cards, finds Path to the Peak, and get another energy card. This is where you got to make a decision as Connor. Do you want to just play the Hyper Potion? Do you want to commit this double turbo for turn to pay for the Hyper Potion? There's a lot of options that are open.
And there's a couple of Path to the Peaks in this hand as well, so he's sitting on a couple of answers to future attacks. Has a switch cart, could send the Blissey to the bench, would heal 30 damage off of it, and then maybe try to prep the active Blissey with the double turbo that's in hand. Ooh, or just a manual retreat.
I like this play a lot because if you force your opponent to either Boss's Orders this Blissey on the bench and take the knockout, or if you leave this Blissey in the active, it's going to start to ramp up. And we saw Connor actually do this a lot against Franco in top 4, pretty much saying, hey, you've got to choose a decision here. Either one's going to benefit me at the end of the day, and that's kind of what this comes down to. But there's the Blissful Blast, 50 damage, opting to put on a powerful energy and 2 Lucky Energy to just try and slowly build this hand up over time.
Crystal Cave is going to counter the Path to the Peak right away and heal most of the damage that Connor did last turn off of Duraludon. We see Quick Ball discards the Arceus V. Can just thin another Pokemon out of the deck here, something that Braden doesn't want to draw. He's already got all the Pokemon in play that he's going to want this game. I don't expect him to bench anything else at this point.
No, not at all. Grabbing Arceus V off of the Quick Ball. And this is really where you got to make a decision as Braden. Do you want to play this Boss's Orders and target down the damaged Blissey, or do you really believe that by hitting this active, you're going to get a lot more value? You're also going to be giving them more cards off of Lucky Energy. So I think Braden understanding, let me look at what my options look like. Marnie is a great card to find here, though, because this massive hand over on Connor's side becomes that much more or less. And right away, you see Braden understand, hey, Disruption plus hitting into this active, that seems like a lot better of a line.
Yeah, he's grabbing the Marnie. Let's see if he does go for it or plays the boss. I agree with you, though. Marnie seems solid, but I could understand wanting to take the prizes while you can. I think going for Marnie now makes sense, though, because the Blissey is unlikely to be healed since there's no damage on it, so you can pretty much always clean this up later on in the game.
That is the idea. There is Sharon's Care in this deck.
That is true.
That is the only way to pick it up, but there goes Marnie. Keep in mind that if Connor is hit by this Blissey, they will draw 2 cards additionally because of the Lucky Energy.
And Connor does draw into a couple of Hyper Potion here, and it looks like, well, 1 Hyper Potion and I believe also a Cape of Toughness. So we see 200 damage, Lucky Energy. We need to make sure that he draws 2 more cards here. He needs to draw 2 cards.
So there's one more for Lucky Energy, and then the top deck for turn.
Yes, now we're good.
And now we have a lot of supporter cards to work with as well. There's the Zinnia's Resolve, Avery as well, the Capture Energy, but starting things off with a concealed cards. Really looking for some more healing options. Does find the double turbo energy. And there are 2 Hyper Potion in this new hand, so this Blissey can heal practically all the way up, but the only thing that's really missing at this point is there's no Cape of Toughness to give us just a little bit more oomph to make sure that it does not get knocked out.
So Connor will play a Quick Ball. I maybe would have liked to have seen the Quick Ball played before drawing with concealed cards, because one of those Path to the Peak was, we know, on the bottom of the deck. So now Connor didn't have a chance to draw into it off the Tornadus. He's choosing to thin now and still has a supporter for turn, of course, to try and find a path in order to hit into this Duraludon VMAX. Or maybe he'll go for the option of Sudden Cyclone in order to force something else from the bench into the active.
A lot of plays, potentially. Supporter card has also not been played yet for turn, and it's going to be the Avery just to draw up 3. And look at that, finds the Team Yell Towel, so that in combination with the Hyper Potion should pretty much guarantee that this Blissey does not get knocked out. So the thing about Team Yell Towel is it does heal both active Pokemon, so this Duraludon will now have 20 less damage on it, healed all the way, and there's a big find, Cape of Toughness, and there it is, the Sudden Cyclone ability. Tornadus has been the MVP in a couple of Connor's matches.
Yes.
Won that winning in against Azul Garcia Griego, and now the Sudden Cyclone is forcing up one of Braden's benched Pokemon, as we're making sure that everyone is on the same page at this point, it looks like. So I think just deciding what Pokemon do I really want to go into. It doesn't feel great to go into this Arceus because you're going to take damage, and it's going to be super easy to knock out later. No healing cards in this deck besides Hyper Potion, as there is the attachment for turn. Hyper Potion over on Connor's side, going to get rid of that double turbo energy, and Blissful Blast dealing a solid amount of damage here. 170, it looks like, after additions here.
Yeah, Braden actually had a really tough call as to what to send up there. He could send up the other Duraludon VMAX and just hope that Connor doesn't have a Path to the Peak in hand, and if that's the case, then Skyscraper would protect Duraludon from any damage. But if Braden, or if Connor does have the Path to the Peak, you're just launching a bunch of damage off and really gonna hit this Duraludon very, very hard. And it is 2 energies away from attacking, which would take Braden a little while to power up, and he only has, I think, 1 switch card left in the deck, or Bird Keeper as a different potential option. So Braden chooses to send up the Arceus V-Star. It will take a pretty hard hit, but he's holding on to Hyper Potion in hand, which could be pretty nice.
Hyper Potion indeed can heal up this Arceus pretty much to full. We'll have 90 HP, or 90 damage on it rather, but we will continuously see Braden opt to grab some more of these cards to thin the deck out. Arceus V, the option, and this is really where you have to decide. Do I want to go and swing with this Arceus again? I'm only dealing 180 damage. I know only is a very strong word nowadays, that you're only dealing 180 damage to a Pokemon and accelerating energies out of the board. But at the same time, it's this idea that if you're not really applying as much damage as possible every single turn, it's that much easier for Blissey to get those turns like this last one, where you heal all the way up to full. So we are just going to see the Trinity Nova. This Blissey will now have 210 damage on it, drawing off the Lucky Energy and drawing to start things off. Another Blissey and a Capitão. This is a great way to get things going. Not much else going for this hand, though. We are just going to see the Professor's Research. None of those double turbo energy getting attached to any Pokemon.
Yeah, I think Cutter wants to see what he draws into first before he worries about where he's going to attach. There are 15 energy cards in this deck, so even though there's a bunch in play, it's pretty likely he'll draw into another one. Well, speaking of which, I don't think he drew one.
No, there are no energies in this hand, so this is the situation you put yourself in when you play a little bit riskier. There's a few switch card in this deck, but you can play switch cards on this Blissey. It's still going to get knocked out to a G-Max pulverization.
Yeah, Connor was really looking for a couple of Hyper Potions this turn. If he could have fully healed this Blissey and taken a one-hit knockout on the active Arceus, that would have been incredibly strong, but he just didn't quite find the pieces to make it happen.
No, the switch card is going to go into this Blissey V on the bench. It's going to heal this Blissey on to 180 damage now on it, and that's just the pass turn over. If Braden can find boss's orders to bring this up, no, there's nothing going on in this hand. Just 4 item cards and that Arceus V.
Oh, but there is a boss's orders in the discard pile. I wonder if Braden would ever be tempted here to go for that Eldegoss. Happy Match, bring a supporter back from the discard pile and take the KO on that Blissey with so many energies already on it.
Yeah, this is the decision you kind of feel pretty bad about it after the last game where benching the Eldegoss essentially cost you the game.
Oh, is it not on the deck?
No, it is prized. It is prized. It's not available.
Wow, that is unfortunate because I think that would have been what Braden wanted to go for. Obviously, putting it into play is a little risky since it is a liability. And like you mentioned, we saw that come through in the last game. But this Blissey on the bench, you're effectively just giving it now another turn to try and find Hyper Potions in order to heal.
This is a big break here for Connor, while Braden will go down to 3 prize cards.
And Braden leaves this Arceus V-Star in the active spot, so it'll be easy for Connor to heal and take a knockout as long as he can find those Hyper Potions.
This is going to be a pretty big turn for Connor. How many Hyper Potions can Connor find? Just needs to find 1 in like a Team Yell Towel to keep it at even. And it looks like Hyper Potion off the top of the deck. That's going to heal up this Blissey to just 60 damage on it. Has Switch Card as well, but the problem with his hand is I think there's a Research and a few healing cards. I think just debating, do I want to discard all of this with his hand?
Yeah, he's already healed the Blissey enough so it won't be KO'd to a G-Max pulverization. Braden actually does not play any Choice Belt, so nothing to worry about there as far as boosting damage. Switch Cart will heal 30 more off of the Blissey, though. Connor does play 1 Scoop Up Net as a way to get this Tornadus out of the active. I think he's going to try to go for it off of the Professor's Research.
Here we go. We're going to see a few fresh cards. There's the Team Yell Towel A little bit of a tongue twister there.
Say that 5 times
Yeah,
fast.
I don't know if I will. There's the Hyper Potion, though.
Oh, attaching for turn to retreat. This
yeah.
works as well. Yeah, had not attached just yet. So this Blissey can come back to the active and take a KO, and it's only got 30 damage on it now.
Wow, and that also puts the energy back in the discard pile, so it can be brought back with a Blissful Blast. Currently, there are 6 energies on this, so it is dealing 190 damage before damage improvements, or rather being buffed essentially, so 40 more damage because of the powerful. So it is dealing 230 damage currently, and it's also going to be dealing a whole lot more damage. Look at that Blissey. I keep saying it. There's just so many energy on this Blissey. That is, if that's across me from the table, I'm quaking a little bit. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, this looks like a meme you'd see on Twitter or something like that. Blissey with so many energies on it. Not something you ever expect to see in a regionals finals. But you know what? Here we are.
Yeah, this is the timeline that we're in at this point. Pokegear, this is a big couple of cards. We do see the boss's orders, but that would have been so impactful the turn before.
There is Marnie, which can disrupt Connor. He did just draw a brand new hand, and I think he actually is sitting on Path to the Peak, so this would be a decent time to play the Marnie. I think what Connor's trying to set up here is just go for a big one-hit knockout on this Duraludon. You accept that this active Blissey is probably going to be KO'd by the follow-up Duraludon, and then you need to use your second Blissey to just build enough energy up into play to hopefully get through this other Duraludon VMAX on the bench, but that is going to be tough. 330 is a big number to hit, and Braden has not played a single Hyper Potion yet.
No, and the thing also to note is that Braden did find that Eldegoss off the prize card, so that is now in the deck as a potential search option with something like the Ultra Ball in hand. There's the big charm, so that's big at making sure these Pokemon take a little bit hard, or a little bit more difficult to knock out. Finds both of them there off of the Marnie, and the thought process here of, oh boy, I'm scared to even start counting the damage that Blissey's doing right now. It is so much up and down with calculations, but we'll make sure we get a number, especially after attachments here.
So 220 damage from the G-Max Pulverization. Connor's also going to be able to draw 3 cards thanks to the 3 lucky energy that are attached, plus the draw for turn. So even though Braden played a Marnie, Connor's going to start this turn with 8 cards in hand.
So this Blissey is currently dealing 340 damage with the amount of energies that it has. So you've got the damage reduction twice in the double turbo, essentially as a 50 damage, and then the powerful energy are essentially 60 damage each. So these are the things to note when it comes, or 50 damage rather, compared to this. So this is a pretty big turn for Connor. Just needs to find a single energy, and the powerful energy is in hand off of this. So as long as the powerful energy gets attached and put into play, the math is there. And there's the powerful energy that will 100% get Connor to this knockout. Has access to Path to the Peak in hand, so we see that found as well. And that means this Blissey can attack into this Duraludon and get through the Skyscraper ability.
The Path is the huge piece that was needed thanks to Duraludon being protected by its ability. Connor also has a powerful colorless energy that he could discard.
Roxanne as well.
Ooh, that is a huge turn, putting Braden to just 2 cards in hand. And Braden doesn't have lucky energies to fall back on.
Yeah, unfortunately, Duraludon, I feel, is one of the decks that gets hit hardest by Roxanne.
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
have any way to draw cards besides your draw supporters. And if your deck does not have a consistent way, Pokegear is not a consistent way to find them. It's a good chance, but these are going to be a big 2 cards for Braden, especially for Connor. There's a potential world where if this Blissey is knocked out, you want to be able to power this other Blissey up and kind of just go all in on this strategy. This is where things get scary. Wow, look at that double Hyper Potion and the Team Yell Towel in hand for the potential energy. You see Braden counted like, oh boy. Is this enough? Is my Duraludon getting knocked out? I think it is.
Yeah, those healing cards aren't great for this Blissey, but they are huge for the next Blissey, because that's what Connor is going to need to do, is keep the second Blissey in play as long as actively possible. Braden taking a peek at those 2 cards. He's not going to show them to us just yet.
Yeah, the fact that Eldegoss was taking out the prizes, I cannot stress that enough, is such a big deal, because it means any searching option, not under Path to the Peak, but if there's the counter stadium, would mean boss's orders to be able to be grabbed. But Path in play is a big deal for several reasons at this point. I think just over on Connor's side, debating I mean, is there ever a world where you use Team Yell Towel? Is there a world where you Hyper Potion? Or it's just so scary because you know this Blissey's going to be knocked out this turn. You're not able to knock out the Duraludon the following turn, and it's just one more prize card that Braden needs to take, and you've got Greninja and Tornadus on the bench.
I wonder if Connor is now debating going for the 2-hit knockout on this active Duraludon, if that is the better path as opposed to just going for a big 1-hit KO. And he seems to think that's the play. Because it's Braden's not going to be able to knock out this Blissey now. You're giving yourself even more turns to work with.
Yeah, and you get to draw more cards off Lucky Energy any turn. So essentially, like another 3 cards are being drawn. So there is the attack with Blissful Blast. Let's do the math here. There's 8 energy on here, so that's 240 plus the 10 base, and then you add
it's 310.
3 more. So
oh wait, is he still getting? Oh no, these are the energies from Blissful Blast.
Yeah, luckily it's not like the old Blissey where you add the energies
the
first.
amount of dice that Braden just had to pull out. Jeez. 6 dice on this Pokemon. That is ridiculous.
The energy from Blissey is going into the discard pile.
That is a huge grab, though. The Crystal Cave is the top deck. That'll heal this Duraludon a little bit, but more importantly, bumps the path to the peak, so now Connor needs to find another one to be able to attack. And he has Pokegear off of one of the Roxanne cards.
Yeah, has Boss's Orders already in hand. There's like a multi-level play where you just do not grab Boss's Orders here to bluff to your opponent that your hand is very poor and you take the knockout, but no. Gonna just go and grab the Boss's Orders into hand, wants to have that access the following turn. And now this Blissey, technically right now, as it stands, will not be able to damage this Duraludon as Skyscraper is back online.
Let's not forget, though, Connor's going to draw a bunch of cards after this attack. There are 3 Lucky Energies attached right now, so that's 3 more, plus the draw for turn. Plenty of dig to try and get to another path to the peak. I wonder how many he's used so far this game. I think it's at least 2, so has 1 or 2 more remaining, I think. And that's probably what Braden is going to be checking here. Let's see if we can get a look through this discard pile.
So 1 so far,
2, 3, yeah. Wow. So only 1 path to the peak remaining for Connor.
Luckily, it is not in the prize card, so that is not a scary fact. As if the path to the peak was in the prizes, that's kind of a moment where you go, yeah, I think we're going to go to game 3 at this point. There's no way for this Pokemon over on Connor's side to damage, but there it is. The G-Max Pulverization dealing 220 damage. This Blissey just hanging on with about 70 health thanks to the Cape of Toughness, as we'll see these cards get drawn off of the Lucky Energy. Nothing too crazy, though. It has the Sharon's Care, but if you use the Sharon's Care, then all those energies are going to just go back to your hand.
Yeah, that's not the time to use Sharon's Care, I don't think.
Does have Capture Energy and Double Turbo. Concealed Cards is also back online, so that can draw some more cards as well, as we are going to see that be utilized. Discarding the Capture Energy. What are the grabs? Finds Path to the Peak and finds Marnie as well.
And I think there's just 1 card left in Connor's deck, so that was super calculated. Something he definitely has to be mindful of is having too many Lucky Energy attached, as he has... Oh, wow, we're actually going to see the Sharon's Care just totally pick this Blissey up and like 25 energies or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how the math lines up specifically. There's 280 damage on this Duraludon, so there is no energy that knocks out this Duraludon in a single attachment. But yeah, you can discard some of these energies with your Quick Ball, and more importantly, you're going to make sure that deck out is not an issue. You've now got like 7 more cards in your deck.
Yeah, Connor's just like, what's this last card? We'll take a little peek and see what it is after the Quick Ball. Powerful colorless energy coming to the active. Connor definitely needs to make sure not to accelerate any Lucky Energies here, so he attaches the powerful from hand. I think he doesn't have 3 energies in the discard pile now because they all went to his hand.
Yeah, this is the struggling with success sort of paradox here. He does have 3 energy. There is another powerful energy and a Capture Energy in the discard pile. So dealing some solid damage to this Duraludon. What's the top deck for turn? It is a Metal Energy.
Man, this is a wild one, Ethan. These guys are... Connor has really found some interesting lines and is playing this out a little bit differently than I expected, but it's working out excellently because he is just denying prize after prize after prize, making it as difficult as possible for Braden to take the last 3 KOs needed.
And this is an incredible show of skill when it comes to just being patient and not wanting to just take a big knockout on Duraludon. There's another G-Max Pulverization. Same deal as usual. We're going to 220 damage on this Blissey V. What is the top deck for turn? The last card in hand, a Boss's Orders on the top of the deck. So we'll be seeing the powerful energy come down onto this bench. Blissey, it seems.
Yeah, and
there's
Braden's
enough
already
damage.
prepping the hand. He's already shuffling because he knows what's coming. It is indeed going to be Marnie. That's what Connor has to play this turn in order to not deck out.
So there it is. The Marnie comes down. I think it really just, at the end of the day, is going to come down to, does Braden have the last Crystal Cave? Because if there is the last one, that means there will be no more stadiums in deck for Connor. And from that point, there's no way for Connor to attack. And we know that Connor was the first person to put the stadium down into play.
4 cards for Braden and 5 for Connor. Braden finds a boss and a hyper potion. Not too bad, but no Crystal Cave. And Connor's actually going to hard retreat this Blissey. He is making Braden work for these KOs. And he is also putting Braden in a tough spot where he has to choose to either boss his orders and take 2 prizes or not start dealing with this Blissey that's getting a bunch of energy cards.
And this is the predicament. There's the
Crystal Cave. That is a huge draw. Connor has no path to the peak left.
And that just seals it up.
And Connor scoops. As soon as that Crystal Cave comes down, Connor has to concede. He has no way to get through the Skyscraper ability. And that was a really long and grindy one, but we are going to a game 3.
That Stadium War, the War of Attrition. Braden playing it down. And like I said, no way for the Pokemon to attack. All special energies in this deck. Here we are, Chip. We're going to game number 3.
Wow, what a finals. We've had some pretty lackluster finals so far this season as far as regional championships are concerned. A lot of 2-0s that lasted about 20 minutes. Just not the most competitive of games, but this final set has been anything but not competitive. It has been super good, back and forth, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in game number 3.
This is what it's all about. This is where it all comes down. The last game of this tournament in Milwaukee. And Braden saw how powerful it was to get the Stadium War and not be the first person to put Stadium in play. Do you think Connor's going to maybe try avoiding putting that first Stadium into play come game 3?
Oh, definitely. That Stadium Wars are a real thing. You got to consider when you put one in play, you know, depending on how many your opponent has available to you. And that is the reason Connor lost that game, because the stadiums did not go in his favor.
Looks like mulligans over on Braden's side. Connor does have a good starter in Blissey, and this is where we'll see prize cards start to get put out. Anything relevant to note. A few special energies in there, and an Avery. Nothing too crazy. The Hyper Potion at the top can be a big deal come later, but we saw in the last game, Connor didn't even need to play that many Hyper Potions, it seemed. Or I think I get that we're playing. And it ended up being
Hyper Potion was definitely key, and it's really important in this matchup. So that being at the top of the prizes could be super relevant. We'll see how much it comes up.
I don't think Braden is too happy about this hand. We'll see how things develop. The prize cards definitely making a big deal as well. Switching the prize cards could be a crucial thing, but we're starting things out. And here we go. Game 3 at the Milwaukee Regional Championships. Connor is kicking things off. Has the Reading Greninja right away, so he can utilize the Lucky Energy, discarding it with concealed cards. There is the Path to the Peak right away in the hand. The Powerful Energy start things out, and the pass of the turn over. Yeah, this hand is looking very weak. Has a couple of Boss's Orders in the hand. The attachment for turn in the Metal Energy. What else can you really do with this chip?
This is not good. Braden might just use a defensive Boss's Orders, and that is always a tough thing to do because Connor has so many ways to get this Greninja out of the active. He could even just attach retreat and not use one of his switch cards.
Yeah, we already see Avery and Scoop Up, or excuse me, Avery being played, but Scoop Up Net in the hand as well as a switch card can just start to build this hand up over and over again. There is the double Turbo Energy coming down. And the switch card can switch into this Blissey V. Blissey is now dealing enough damage to poke this Arceus a little bit.
Yeah,
also
dealing
has
100 here.
The Cape of Toughness. Yeah, you get the plus and negative, but it ends up sort of canceling out in itself. So you end up doing enough damage to hit this Arceus for 100. And at this point, if you're Connor, do you just got to maybe be aggressive and pounce on this, or do you just kind of play how you normally would just set up?
I mean, when Braden plays a defensive Boss's Orders for the first turn, you have to know that the hand is just not optimal. There's no draw support like a Professor's Research or a Marnie or anything like that. Now, Braden could have an Arceus V-Star in the hand Connor isn't aware of, but we know that this hand really is just not good. Braden could set up for a Mustard on the next turn. Also could just attach the basic metal to the active and go for Trinity Charge, which isn't too bad. You at least get the Duraludon VMAX powered up.
Yeah, the Metal Energy here is not the worst top deck. There are a lot worse top decks in this scenario. This Arceus very likely can get knocked out the following turn, so you can at least flood this Duraludon with energy and start attacking and taking prize cards. But this is just more time for Connor to set up, use concealed cards, draw more cards, concealed cards over and over again. His hand has a few healing cards in it, but no energies or ways to draw cards. You can technically attack again with this Blissey. It is dealing enough damage to take the knockout on to the Arceus V. You're already just staring down a Duraludon. But with the fact that Hyper Potion and something like Team Yell, or rather Team Yell Towel is in hand, I feel like you're okay just maybe taking a little bit more of a defensive play, saying, I'm going to get 2 prize cards as well. If you ever attack into me, I'm getting another card. The options are definitely there for Connor. It just depends on what route he wants to go. It just feels like he's 100% in the driver's seat so far in this game.
Yeah, I think Connor is sitting on a Professor's Research, but he's also sitting on a path to the peak. So he doesn't want to put it in play too early. He also doesn't want to discard it with the Professor's Research, obviously, so we might just have to see him be content switch carding into this Blissey and taking the knockout, or even scoop up net would work too. But it's tough because you're not advancing your hand size and you're not getting any energies accelerated from this Blissful Blast because there's none in the discard pile right now.
It does have Zinnia's Resolve, it looks like, as well. So that's a way you can maybe just draw a few cards and see what you worked with. Did grab the Dunsparce off of the Quick Ball, but the problem with this is, like, what do you want to discard at this point? You've got Pat the Peak, Yellhorn, or Team Yell Towel, and ooh, maybe Connor not learning the lesson from last game.
I think
the first one to put the first stadium, but yeah, if you're going to put the research here, you're getting rid of these pieces. You're kind of jumping on this opportunity. Do we see any energy cards? No, none off of this. You get the Blissey down now at this point. You're going to be taking some prize cards, but you really want to just find a bunch of energy there so that you can flood the board and try to deal with this Duraludon. It just feels like now you're in the same spot as you were if you were to just attack. And on top of that, you just lost a Hyper Potion and another way to heal your Blissey.
Yeah, losing the 2 healing cards is really unfortunate. And Braden does top deck the Professor's Research, so he's not able to play the Mustard, but it's still a decent way to get some more cards and get a little bit more set up. Something to note, though, is Braden did prize the second Duraludon V, so he won't be able to set up another VMAX until he starts to take prizes.
Yeah, you can technically Eldegoss for the single strike Mustard and utilize that.
That is true.
The last time Eldegoss came down to play, Braden promptly lost the game the turn after. So this is where you got to make a decision. Does have Arceus in hand. Nothing is threatening this Duraludon from my knowledge of getting knocked out this turn. However, you might just want to be able to power up another Pokemon and have that as a safety option. And it looks like that is what Braden understands, that, hey, because my Duraludon V is prized, my route to this victory, this game is most likely going to be my Arceus V-Star, or V getting knocked out, this Duraludon VMAX, and then another Arceus V-Star, hopefully with a big charm on it to make it a 310 HP 2-price Pokemon. But there it is, G-Max Pulverization. It's on Connor to find some healing cards.
Gets to draw 1 from the Lucky Energy and then draw for turn. And we see a couple of energies being drawn now. Can concealed cards for turn. And also Sharon's Care can just totally heal this Blissey. That deletes an entire turn of attacking from Braden.
Gets to reutilize the Cape of Toughness onto this new Blissey. Has concealed cards as well. Drawing into some more. Finds the path to the peak, but at this point, is it really worth playing the stadium down if you're just going to be dealing 50 or so damage to this active Duraludon?
Yeah, I think it is, because you just want to start building damage up and making it as hard as possible. Or you could use this turn to get Tornadus and Sudden Cyclone Force up the Arceus V, which is what Connor just flashed there. So that's a decent option as well. You'll get a couple of energies in play, and you don't have to put down a path.
Yeah, I wonder if this will be combined with something like the Path to the Peak as well. This is a very interesting line, and there it is. I love the Tornadus card. It's such an interesting card. It fits great in this deck as well because it can always attack and have other uses. And we're actually going to see the Path to the Peak not come down into play.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart from Connor, holding off on putting Path down until he's attacking into Skyscraper. Braden's getting started a little late, but this hand is decent now, has the Arceus V-Star. And did he play 1 switch already? I think he did, right, early on in the game, because the second copy of Switch is actually in the prize cards.
Wow, and that means the only way to retreat this would be to utilize Starbirth to find double turbo energy.
Oh, has Switch in hand.
Has in hand. Okay, so we're chilling. We have the Switch in hand, it seems. Has another Crystal Cave as well already in the hand, so Starbirth could come out this turn and grab some more cards, or we could see it wait. But we've seen every time so far in the set, when Braden evolves into the Arceus V-Star, if you can use Starbirth, it's getting used.
Yeah, which makes sense because Connor does play the full 4 copies of Path to the Peak. So 2 cards grabbed here. trying to set up for a play on a future turn maybe, or, you know, maybe has something else in mind for the current turn.
There's a lot of options, especially when you can grab any 2 cards out of your deck. It seems Marnie is the choice, and you know your opponent's got a bunch of energy cards in hand. Why not play Marnie to disrupt things as it goes? The switch getting played, and this is another big turn from Brady in an effort to stop Connor from having these big healing turns of saying, I'm going to put you at 4 cards in hand to start. You're going to maybe draw a card with Lucky Energy, but in this case, you're not drawing any cards with Lucky Energy. And yeah, it's on you to heal off enough damage so that if I smack you again for 220, you're not getting knocked out.
So Braden grabs the Arceus V off this quick ball, an excellent decision because now he can just put it on the bottom of the deck with this Marnie. And this is actually a great turn for Braden to Marnie because he's not going to be hitting into any Lucky Energies. That's really been Connor's way to get out of a potential Marnie, is just after, you know, you only get 4 cards. If you have a couple Lucky Energies attached, those 4 cards quickly turn into 4, 5, 6, and 7.
And there it is, the Marnie. We'll see what cards come out. Hyper Potion there for Connor. Not a bad draw whatsoever. Also, Path to the Peak not in play, so you can draw cards off of this concealed cards. And there it is, the G-Max Pulverization. Quick ball off the top of the deck. Very likely see this maybe be utilized. I like the utilization of this right now. You're going to reshuffle the deck up.
Right.
You had a lot of these energy cards at the bottom of your deck. You want to find those again.
Yep.
And this can also get one other card that is not a card that you want to draw, like the Yveltal, into the hand.
So Connor's path to victory here seems a little bit more straightforward than it did in game number 2. He just has to get through one Duraludon VMAX, since he was able to take a quick knockout on Arceus V, and Braden had to go with a second Arceus V, which turned into now a V-Star. So he'll have a lot easier time, I think, getting through the 6 prizes this game. Concealed cards draws a couple. We see a couple of supporters as the options.
Yeah, finding Marnie and Avery. This is where you've got to decide, does my opponent have a hand size big enough that I care to play this Marnie? Do I even play the Hyper Potion in my hand? It just seems that Connor is just saying, hey, I'm going to play the Marnie and maybe just abandon this Blissey at the point. I don't have Path to the Peak anyways this turn. I don't have a guaranteed way to attack into this.
Needs to find the path here. That's the thing he's looking for. And there it is, finds it off of the Marnie. Now he can get some damage in play on this Duraludon, and it'll be up to Braden to try to find a response via another Crystal Cave or Hyper Potion to try and heal this Duraludon up a bit.
So this is hitting for 180 damage after the changes in energy. We'll see what if there's any energy to even accelerate. There are 2 capture energies, so those will get attached. There is the damage. And Braden starting things off. What does this hand look like? Has a Professor's Research and also Pokegear and Quick Ball
and
to
the double
reorganize.
turbo energy is really great as well, because he can attach it to the active and try to dig for a Hyper Potion potentially.
Yeah, has ways to organize the deck as well. The Crystal Cave is now on the bottom of the deck, so that will be shuffled back and understands, hey, I don't need to play the Pokegear necessarily. But we could actually see this discard the Metal Energy if we are going to see the Research come out. But I think Braden understands all the supporter cards in my deck I want eventually. I don't necessarily want to discard them. So we will see the Arceus get grabbed. We know that Hyper Potion is available in the deck, and Research is a great way to draw some cards and get set up, really looking for the Crystal Cave. You know your opponent put the first stadium down. That's the key to getting yourself into that board position like the end of game 2, where you have the last stadium, your opponent's out of Path to the Peak, and you just say, well, you can't damage me, so we could sit here all day, but I'm just going to keep hitting you for 220 damage.
So Braden does put the double turbo energy on the active and immediately gets rewarded by finding the Hyper Potion and a big charm as well. He does not find the Crystal Cave, though, the one thing missing to make this draw absolutely perfect.
Yeah, but that has to feel like enough at this point. Sure, they can hit you next turn for maybe 60 damage maximum, but you'd rather just have that at this point than anything else. And there we go. Just going to take a knockout onto this Blissey. 2 prize cards taken for Braden. Is now evening things up in this game 3 as Blissey will come to the active spot. What was this draw here? I see Roxanne Boss's orders in hand. There is a Research, but do you really want to get rid of these resources like Hyper Potion and Roxanne? You have to at this position. There's no other play.
Yeah, he has to discard the Hyper Potion, which I actually think is the last one, the 3rd copy. 1 got discarded earlier, 1 got played, and 1 is at the top of the prize card. So now this 4th and final one gets discarded. He does have a powerful colorless energy. This can at least deal 60 more damage. But Braden is actually holding on to another Hyper Potion, so if he has another double turbo, he'll actually fully heal this Duraludon.
Yeah, and the choice now.
And he does have the double turbo energy.
Wow, he has double turbo energy and another Hyper Potion. This is going to be a big turn. It just depends on what energy Connor wants to put onto this Blissey. Powerful energy seems like a solid grab. deciding to not put the lucky energy on to maybe draw some more cards. Don't know how the hand is looking, as Braden's going to take a little look through. And as long as Braden decides to go for the second Hyper Potion play, man, that was such a great 7 cards here off the research.
Yeah, great setup here for Braden for the future turns. I think he actually took the DTE off of the prizes, which is really strong because, or he took the Switch and the Duraludon actually, but has that option available now. Top decks of Boss's Orders, that's not super great right now. And boom, Hyper Potion gets rid of all that hard work. Connor has tried to chip away at this Duraludon. It's not gonna take out this Blissey, but it does get a solid hit off.
That is 220 damage. That is more than enough to feel pretty solid at this point. This Blissey has 5 energy on it, so dealing 160 damage with the boosted 40. So is hitting for 200 damage, but it still just doesn't feel enough. You're not even going to confidently take a 2-hit knockout the following turn. You can at minimum get a Blissey down and start to get some double turbo energies on, but it still just feels like your opponent is doing everything they want, finding all these pieces. You can at least for now swing into this, but there's still another Pokemon at minimum. So yeah, nothing really going on for this hand. Just has to use the Blissful Blast. Can at least get some lucky energy on to this Blissey to draw a few more cards, but it looks like there's only 1 in the discard pile.
We see a couple being accelerated. Just the one lucky, like you mentioned. Now it's back over to Braden with 200 damage on his active Duraludon. It's got 160 HP remaining. Doesn't have any ways to heal anymore. He's out of Hyper Potions. His only option is going to be to find Crystal Cave, and he actually just has nothing to play out of this hand. It's Boss's Orders and then 3 Pokemon and a Switch.
Yeah, I think Braden is pretty content to just take this knockout. You essentially have 160 HP more, so there's no way that this Blissey is going to knock out, but...
Something Braden could do this turn is actually bench the Duraludon V he took off the prizes, switch into the Arceus V-Star, and power up a fresh Duraludon VMAX. But instead, he'll just take the opportunity to go for the KO. You don't want to put another Duraludon V in play, potentially, so it makes sense. With just 2 prizes remaining now, Connor won't be able to knock out this Duraludon this turn. This is still really close, though.
Yeah, you see Zinnia's Resolve in the hand, has the last couple of healing cards in Team Yell Towel. As the Zinnia will get played, it will draw just a measly 2 cards. You can at least get the lucky energy in the discard pile to put back on with the Blissful Blast. And what do we see? Just, more lucky energy. It has to commit that for turn, so you can just try to draw out of this unfortunate spot. You're hitting for, at this point, 80 damage.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
It's going to have to just be a 2-hit KO. I think what Connor's hoping for is, all right, I can hit this Duraludon really hard and then try to clean up the knockout on it next turn, and maybe Braden won't have a way to 2-hit KO this, but I don't think Connor has the healing cards necessary in remaining to deny these KOs.
That is the big deal at this point. I don't know if Braden is aware of how many Hyper Potion are gone at this point. Doesn't know that 1 is prized. And the fact that that card is unavailable means that Braden's got to make a decision. There is the Switch in hand. Does also have Bird Keeper as well as the supporter to draw some more cards. Seeing that your opponent's down Roxanne has got to be a big sigh of relief, though, because it means things might not get as scary. But you have to be looking for that counter stadium at this point to make it even more difficult for Connor to potentially not be able to knock out another Pokemon if it comes up.
Maybe what Braden wants to do is just hit this Blissey hard and then hold on to the Boss's Orders in hand so that if Connor went for like a retreat into a new Blissey play, he has Boss's Orders available to just bring up this Blissey that would be heavily damaged this turn. I think that's probably going to be the line for Braden here.
We see, trying to see how many Crystal Cave are left in the deck. I see 1, 2, so it looks like 3 Crystal Caves still there. So there's a good chance that if Bird Keeper gets played, it can find one of these Crystal Caves to get rid of the Path to Peak and also heal this Duraludon up a little bit.
And really smart here from Braden to thin a Pokemon out of the deck before going for Bird Keeper, because now that's 1 less card you'll potentially draw into. You're increasing your odds as much as possible to see the Crystal Cave here.
Let's see if that is the choice. There is the Bird Keeper. So 3 cards off of this Bird Keeper. We'll switch the Duraludon with the Arceus. Do we see the Crystal Cave?
No.
No, not quite. But at the same time, you can still deal 180 or 220 damage with this Duraludon. The Blissey currently has essentially 7 energy on, but it is dealing 40 less damage, so you're dealing 220 minus the 40, so that is 180 damage. Not enough to knock out this Arceus, so this Arceus can kind of confidently sit here for a little bit and be okay at this position, but Braden has really showed us the amount of experience he has at thinning the deck out consistently. We'll yet again play Quick Ball to get rid of this Pokemon, and we'll find another basic Pokemon, eyeing up the Eldegoss V to pretty much say, hey, if I have the Counter Stadium, assuming I don't even have Boss's Orders in hand, I can just find it.
All those Crystal Caves just sitting there almost mocking Braden, being like, you wish you drew me, don't you? But he doesn't have access to it. They're all three sitting there in the middle of the deck. He can accelerate a couple more energies out, puts them on the active so that he can have the option to retreat, which makes sense. And we see a bunch of cards drawn from the Lucky Energy and now a draw for turn. Connor actually does find Boss's Orders. Cape of Toughness gives this Blissey a bit more HP. Is the only healing card left, though, Team Yell Towel?
I mean, Switch Card can heal as well,
okay,
but that's a maximum of 80 damage healed, so you still go to 280. And the math actually lines up perfectly that a G-Max Pulverization gets there exactly with 220 damage.
This is really tough for Connor. That Hyper Potion being prized, having to discard 2 Hyper Potions to researches early on, really has limited what he's able to pull off.
Yeah, this is the question at this point. What can you really do in this position? We can see the Team Yell Towel get played, but if you do that, you're also going to heal the Arceus up and make it even harder to knock out down the line. And you see Connor's like, but am I helping you at the same time? Is this healing even relevant at this point?
Yeah, if he could like Team Yell Towel to heal and then Boss's Orders the Duraludon, maybe, that would be decent because you could take a knockout and throw a bunch of energies into play. I wonder if Connor has a way to boss KO the Duraludon and heal the active enough so that Arceus doesn't KO it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is a potential line. I think it's just thinking, what am I going to do in this position? The doors are closing on Connor, has Boss's Orders to bring up this Duraludon, and the Team Yell Towel is going to heal this up to 130, and the Switch Card as well will bring it down to just 90 damage on, or 100 damage on, excuse me.
And then retreating the Greninja, yeah.
But we know that the cards are there for Braden to get there. I believe still has the Switch and a Pokemon in hand. And if that's the case, can get rid of the double turbo energy. I think that Braden has the cards in this position. The Arceus is coming up. Let's see the top deck is for Braden to get things going. If there's a Pokemon in play, we could see the Pokemon get benched, retreat, get rid of the double turbo energy on this. I don't know if Braden sees that line to be able to get rid of that to do the amount of damage, but the line is there to win this game.
He would deal 200 exactly. He also has Bird Keeper in the discard pile, so Happy Match works to get that piece back to just get the switch. Oh man, does Braden not see it?
The line is right there. I don't think he does.
He's got Ultra Ball. He doesn't see it yet. Let's see if he can figure it out, though. Maybe if he Ultra Balls and looks through the deck and tries to find something, he can thin that Duraludon out. Oh, this is so close, Ethan. Does Braden see the play?
Oh, it's right there in front of him. He's just got to think a little bit harder to get there. And, oh, no, it's just so heartbreaking to watch. The championship is right there for Braden.
Path to the Peak in play, couldn't use the Happy Match, but I think he did top deck the Crystal Cave. Man, it doesn't, I mean, he's got the switch, he's got the pieces available. Let's see, he's thinking, he stopped for a moment.
Yeah, you hear him say, let me think, is there a way? And there is a way, Braden, you've got this, it's right here. The Crystal Cave, sure, you can do that. You've got the Eldegoss, you've got the ability to retreat and then switch. You can discard the double turbo energy even with the 2 retreat costs, it works out.
Man, all of the play throughout the weekend is coming down to this moment. Does Braden grab the Bird Keeper here? He does. I think he's figured it out. Retreat, get rid of the Arceus V-Star, send that double turbo energy to the discard pile. Bird Keeper, send the Arceus back into the active, drawing 3 cards and dealing 200 damage. Trinity Nova takes the KO. Braden ELFERT has won the Milwaukee Regional Championship.
Oh, it's so great to see after that. Found the inspiration. I was about to say, that was close. does, but sometimes in the clutchest situations, you have that slight inspiration, you can figure it out. Congratulations to Braden. And over on the side there for Connor, nothing too shabby. You're still going to walk away with a good sum of cash, of course, as that second place finish on your resume, and a bunch of booster packs as well. We'll top it off.
Congratulations to Braden. What a finals set. An incredible match by both of these players. Of course, congratulations to Connor, like you mentioned. Incredible play throughout the weekend, getting second place with Blissey V. But Duraludon VMAX wins the Milwaukee Regional Championships.